Welcome back. We now go to Lyle Shelton, who will give us a Christian perspective of what's happening in the various Australian parliaments. Thanks for joining us, Lyle.
Good to be with you, Francine.
The federal government has for the first time committed to ending homelessness in Australia. What are its targets, and is this an advance?
This is certainly a big advance in the area of homelessness, Francine. We've seen right from the time when Kevin Rudd took over as opposition leader, then throughout the election campaign last year and in the earliest days of his prime ministership, him put this issue fairly and squarely on the national agenda. He's delivered at the weekend with $800 million over 5 years of funding for homelessness, and that's funding that's jointly provided by the states and the Commonwealth. Some 105,000 people each night sleep on the streets in Australia, something which offends the Christian sensibilities of the Prime Minister, and this is very much motivated by his concern for social justice. There's also 175,000 households on waiting lists for public housing, and this money is designed to try and reduce those waiting lists as well by building more public housing stock.
Were there any other interesting developments at the recent Council of Australian Governments meeting?
Yeah, certainly COAG has allocated some $140 billion worth of spending over time in areas such as homelessness, disabilities, Indigenous services, and of course education. On the education front, we've seen $1.1 billion allocated towards 1,500 of the nation's poorest performing schools. And this is certainly a worthy initiative designed to try and bring some of our struggling schools up to a higher standard. In return, teachers have been given more powers to hire and fire, principals have been given more powers to hire and fire teachers, and also there's greater reporting to parents. So there's certainly a trade-off there, which will certainly be welcomed by many parents.
On a different topic, I understand that Philip Nishi is continuing his euthanasia push. What is the latest?
Well, Philip Nishi continues to travel around Australia holding forums and workshops on so-called voluntary euthanasia. The trouble with so-called voluntary euthanasia is it quickly leads to involuntary euthanasia, and we've seen in Holland, where euthanasia has been legalised for a number of years, that up to 1,000 people a year are killed without their permission, and those statistics have been verified through medical journals. The disappointing thing about Dr. Nitsky's forums is that he encourages illegal activity such as smuggling veterinary drugs from Mexico, drugs which are designed to kill horses to be used on humans. And of course the whole euthanasia debate certainly puts pressure on those who are sick, who are frail and elderly to cause their lives to be ended so that they're not a burden on society. That's the wrong message to be sending, and we're certainly very concerned at ACL about what Dr. Nitsky's up to, because it gives credence to people like Senator Bob Brown, who are very keen to get euthanasia resurrected on the national agenda.
Thanks very much for your time, Lyle.
Pleasure, Francine.
Lyle Shelton in Canberra for Politics in Focus.